That's ISO?
Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up, I got some gas, some packs, I'm up in the greenhouse. Ball it up, I'm with the gang, we taking shots off the rebound.
Good afternoon, this is Mark Abzade of Walking Out of Lockdown. Today I'm here with Mia, who Mia is going to graciously give me her full name because I can never pronounce it, right, Mia?
Right. So my name is Cayetana Soto de Garcillan. That's my real name, but everyone knows me as Mia. So Mark, you can use anyone you want. You can
Thank you very much. I met Mia and Alex in Florence many years ago, and the first time I saw them, I realized I had discovered or seen something that we rarely have anymore in this life, which is true icons. You can call them style icons, you can call them social icons, you can call them fashion icons. But like Edie Sedgwick, like Twiggy, like so many people before them, it is their life, it is their art, it is every aspect of what they do. And no matter how often I tried to look at them and say, oh yeah, they're just, you know, it's a cliche, they're style. Every time I realized, no, this is pure and absolute authenticity. So it really is my great pleasure to have you here. You founded Los Pecos Mutantes. There's a lot more there that I'd like you to tell us about. But as I do at the beginning of each one of these interviews, I want to go back to the beginning of the year. And I want to ask you, where were you? What were you thinking? And what did the year look like for you? What was your mindset?
Well, first of everything, Mark, thank you very much. Like, it's beautiful the way you have described this. And I guess like all this time in PJs and tracksuit bottoms have made me feel less than, definitely not like Idris Cedric or any icon in the fashion world. So it did make me feel really good. Thank you very much. It's true. Like when we found this company, I think we were trying to really reflect the world that we were living in. And as you well know, like you met us in Florence, Alexander was a sculptor, a painter, quite crazy one, and Young as well. Me as fashion designer, I was trying to really create like a world different regardless to what is fashion. And I think we combined really well together. He with his craziness, me with that sense of style, or more feminine, let's put it that way. It was beautiful what we found without really not even expecting it or trying to make something of it. It just came out like naturally. As I learned through the years, like companies work a lot on creating a concept, and there is like studies behind, like a team that create what is the company going to try to talk about, or how it's going to be expressed, and people going to understand it. And for us, it was completely the opposite. We just went out in a square, dressed as like crazy people, like we still are, and suddenly people like find it beautiful, fun, or something to in a way follow. I hate the world influencers and followers and things like that. It's
no, and if I can interrupt for a second, because I think that's an important distinction to make, which is I have never gotten the impression that either of you were interested or trying to be influencers, YouTube people, any of that. In fact, I get the opposite impression, you know. Because it's not just the two of you, it's also a world of people around you that are also somehow connected to that, and watching you when you're in Florence, watching you now online, I see that continues. In fact, one of the things that fascinated me, and I must say you're part of the inspiration for this series, because I watched how in some way, maybe you're in pajamas, but that life didn't completely come to an end as it did for a lot of people, it seemed.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. Well, again, as you will know, Alexander does not even have a phone. He doesn't even know how technology works. So influencers will have never be like something we'll do together. It's true that I'm much more involved because the fashion world at one point or another like makes you like get involved in a little way, even if you are not trying to be part of it, like the fact that you need to sell a product, the fact you need to compete in a way with all these brands that they are coming out. But I don't want anyone to think that I'm selling them something that I don't believe in on it, or like I'm like taking people that they just like put in their clothes for like talking about something someone has paid them behind or whatever. No, we're real. Like
Yeah.
as you see, like we dress two musicians, really young musicians, talents that they have not really like yet succeed on their like fashion music artists. Well, they are like us, like they are fighters and
Yeah.
they believe in what they do. And that was what we were living in France that you were saying, no? It was just a community of students and people that decide to try something for themselves. And the place was Florence, and we unite there. And our house was always full of musicians, photographers, as you, like
Yeah,
always
we
people.
even filmed in
Yeah,
your place that one time.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But that was the beauty of it, you know. It was always people with beautiful talents that they were like surrendered us and our house and having good talks and their coffee, and that's what the label is. Like I don't think like um, we do something for a fashion industry. I think we do something for like a generation that is trying to fight with their dreams and become someone big or little, it doesn't matter. They just want something to change and they want something to call their attention. And that's what we do.
Yeah, they're also, from my outside point of view, and as you know, with the art schools, there were various communities of students that would bind together socially, whatever. There were the British, there were different ones. It was a superficiality for a lot of people. It's like, yeah, I do art, but I'm really just here partying. And one of the things that always struck me, nobody I ever met through you seemed superficial. Nobody ever seemed like they weren't in one way or another, sometimes too profound, but looking for that.
Yeah, we were young. It's true. We all arrive with good intentions, but then we are get a little bit lost in that beautiful fun world that we were. But don't mistake, because I always when I think back about it, yes, we did have fun, but it was educational because I
Yeah.
remember every party we were, every reunion in that square. We're talking about art. We're talking about debating about the world in the situation that it was, under a beer or a glass of wine. But we were not. Our conversation were really adult. Like
Yeah.
I think there was people coming from every part of the world, because if Florence was something was that Santo Spirito, like it was Spanish, Alex was English, but then we have like if Lebanese people, we have people from Russia, people from France. So it was humongous community of every like really like mix, and that's amazing because that was a lesson in life. So yeah, we were not like the people that we were in that situation. We were real, and we
Yes.
didn't have any intentions of becoming like the richest person of the world or the most influencer. No, we did want to do something beautiful and that sent a message. So in a way, I will say we were revolutionary, like all of us
Yes.
in different ways. You know,
Look,
Alex with his weird sculptures, me with the
yeah,
clothing, or
but most people mistake revolutions for the things that happen in the streets. And those
no.
revolutions seldom end anywhere.
We always think there is something that we could be missing or that we can change, and that is the beauty of both of us. I think when we are together, we always he definitely is much more of a dreamer than I am, but there's a good balance as well. Someone has to
Yeah.
be like, on that. But why not? Like, if we cannot dream in the world that we are living in nowadays, what else we have? So we don't
So
know
how do
where.
you feel? How do you feel today then? How do you feel today,
Well,
looking, and how are you, Pecos Mutantes, and then your larger community dealing with it?
it's really soon to really understand what's going to happen, but it's really sad because we know something is going to change,
Yeah.
and changes are not always bad, but it is true that the freedom we have till now can be cut down in a way, because we have been a generation really capable of traveling, moving, investigating. And I'm talking from what I'm living here in Spain as
Sure.
well. We have been really cut down to all of that. We're like, it's been really strict, the rules that we've been through. And obviously, in a little way, that's going to affect, because this country was developing into modern world. And it was really difficult, because you guys have to remember, like, Spain has been under Franco like not long ago,
Yeah.
and we were like coming out and trying to follow like countries like England, that it was much modern, or France, and suddenly, like, we have another block, like we are like, stop again. That is gonna affect us. I don't think so that much, because since I moved to Spain, I surround myself, well, Alex and I, we did surround ourselves, but a beautiful community of, again, musicians, writers, photographers, fashion designers. There is a lot of people like with dreams, and a lot of people trying to make something new. That we are going to find it more difficult, yes, obviously. And you don't have to go far, like economy-wise, like, how are we going to be able to dream if we're not going to be able to make anything, and we don't have any helps? LPM works as an autonomo. It means we're a company on our own. We're a little business. So how are we going to survive? I don't know. But I want to remember as well how we started with nothing.
Yeah.
So it has been just 5 years in between. So I'm not scared, and I don't think Alex, if he was here, he will be saying the same. We invent ourselves 5 years ago. We can do it again. And I think that's a beauty as well. When you've been restricted, you have to deal with the things you have in your, like, you have to create, and you have to imagine how you're going to make that happen. So it is like being your own photographer, doing your own modeling, or wherever it takes. We are a generation that we can learn. We are like capable of finding information online as well. And I don't think people with big dreams are going to stop trying to do what they want to do.
No, and I think it raises the next question. Do you feel that creatives, freelancers, independents are better positioned in this moment?
I think we're not as scared, because we have never had that help, in the sense like we are, yes, I have worked for other companies before where I was really unhappy, I have to say, because my creative side was completely removed. And I decided I will never go back to that. But I think the people like us, that we have create projects and like try to make from what we had like something, we're not scared in this situation, because we know, yeah, probably we're gonna have problems, economic problems. We're not gonna have helps we never had, but like we're not gonna have the same easy way of getting that economic situation. But we are not scared of reinventing ourselves.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, like, tomorrow LPM doesn't work because the fashion industry really collapsed. That I don't know how that's gonna be. Well, I'm sure like I will invent something else that will reflect my personality together with Alexander on my own. We are creators. We are people with a creative mind, and that is something like no economy, not crisis, not war or virus can remove.
And I think you just hit a very important point, which we're seeing with people at home offices. There's identity crises. A lot of people are having identity crisis because even though they say it's blending my work and my personal life, if you listen to them, what they're actually saying is their work had become their social life, their personal community, their identity. It doesn't sound like your identity is at all tied up in what you do. It's who you are.
Yeah, and actually I have to say as well, regarding to what you just like mentioned, I think I reinforced my personality during this lockdown. I think in a way, because obviously when you have a company, you need to sell. Numbers have to kind of make sense and things like that. I forgot about the creative side. Like it was like Alexandra is not that involved in LPM anymore. So having to deal with the creative side and the business part have made me like remove a little bit myself from that beautiful part of creation and invention and painting. And this lockdown has remembered me that I don't care where this company is going to go, but I want this company to be what it was. And it was something come out from a dream. And if I have the time, as I did, I'm going to take the photos that we used to. I'm going to represent that total look and that model the way that LPM was supposed to be, not the way society told me you should do, or this more
You should do it this way. They need it like this for editorial. They need this kind of crap. I know exactly what you mean.
And I was like, but that's not LPM. And I forget it like for a little bit. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do LPM, I'm going to do LPM the way it began, you know, and no matter what, we're in a situation like no one knows where we're going to finish. So at least if LPM is going to die, it's going to die as it was and as it born, you know. And
it's fascinating that you say that though, because I went through a similar thought process, which was the big project in Peru was going to be 3 years. It was UNESCO, and when it got put on hold, Sophie, my partner, was like, "I can't do this anymore." And I was like, "No, wait, we'll just put it on." She's like, "No, I can't do this." And we stopped and talked about it, and we realized that we'd gotten into a situation where we couldn't enjoy the part we enjoyed anymore.
I am destroying the thing that I create on my own, trying to follow society, trying to become a bigger label, a much more accepted label. Well, LPM is not like that. LPM is like about like two crazy people that decide that they like to dress like that, and another 10 people that they were involved in that and they thought like that's great. Well, that's LPM. Otherwise I'd be doing like black and white trousers and you know, and it wouldn't be us.
Your collection is an explosion of joy always. It may be more sophisticated, it may be lighter, it may be more party, it may be more serious, but the colors, the textures, just the way they're put together is an explosion of joy. And at a time when people really need that, and I do know that you've just finished a collection, haven't you? Or you introduced spring collection, what, in February, in January?
That's been something that obviously COVID-19 has affected some productions so much. So they stop all the productions. We have production in Italy still nowadays. And when we went, it was end of February to start the new collection. So weeks later, they stop everything. So anyway, we will invent something in the meantime. I'm probably gonna sit down, like attached to my sewing machine with a glass of water for a month and make something come out for like covering this time in the middle, like we're gonna have until we can launch the next collection. I believe as well, like after every kind of big crisis or big situation like the one we're having right now, icons come out because people is as well looking for like something to bring them joy, to make something to change in a way themselves. And it's been proved now, like the revolution in the 70s, like when all those outfits, wigs and music, it changed. And those icons you mentioned at the beginning came up during like a revolution in a way. So I'm expecting like something to change. I went as well into fashion, like in the
adversity definitely inspires creativity.
I'm really looking for like this to happen. So people came out of this lockdown with much more intentions and being creative and like express themselves in a way, you know. But as well, I thought like we were gonna come out with much more humanity, and I found I found myself wrong on that. Like it surprised me like how stressed the people were. Like the first days we were able to get out in the streets and the moods they were like treating themselves. It did surprise me. I thought that we were gonna come out way more human than we were before all of this. We'll see. Like
I
I guess
agree
like
with you. My expectations were that. I do think that so far it's been too short. I have always traveled the world with my camera, even to war zones, even to earthquakes, volcanoes, things like that, not because of the excitement, but because I always find that in the worst day of your life, some people just become the best humans they'll ever be. And that's what I want to capture, and that's what I want to witness, and that's what I've always done.
why not? Like I think like we prove ourselves like the way we were like acting, behaving, like treating each other was not right. Like that's why we are arrived to where we are.
Yeah.
Because we criticize society, but we forget that we are society,
Yeah.
right? Like so if we don't change, if we don't become more human, if we don't try to see on the other person like how are we gonna pretend to have a better world, you know, like
Yeah.
business money, like when people complain about pollution, about the ambient, about like, well, if we are not we as individuals like help the situation, how the hell this is going to change?
Do you
But
find
yeah.
it gives you joy in this moment, or it takes you away from the problems to be creative, or do you find it difficult to be creative right now?
Well, I think I before the lockdown and the situation with the COVID-19, I found myself really blocked because I surround myself a little bit more into the fashion world, the industry,
Oh yeah.
and suddenly I started even saying I don't like what I do anymore. I even thought about
It's
quit. Like
true.
I was
It's
like,
true.
well, if this is fashion, I don't like it. I'm not. I cannot be involved into this. And I was thinking about, well, okay, how can I reinvent myself, like being creative, but without being into this world? And it's funny. This quarantine has made me go back to love what I do. Taking back my sewing machine that I even forgot how to sew. I teach myself how to sew again. Um, Touching fabrics, like painting, because as a fashion designer we learn how to paint like mannequins or even like prints. And I took back my pencils, like I didn't even know where the hell they were. And as well it helped me to make this quarantine easier,
Yeah.
because in my family we have been affected really really close. My father was with the coronavirus, and
Okay.
it was really hard. And I moved back with my parents for a couple of weeks, and the situation was like we have two options: or we start thinking about this every single second and we go crazy because no one knows, no one is going to explain you what is going on, or we try to distract ourselves. So for me my distraction was like go back to love fashion, what I do, that I don't
Yeah.
even like to call it fashion. I love what I do,
Yeah.
create.
Create style, creativity, whatever you
Yeah,
want, culture.
yeah. But that's when you do things that they are real, like, and
Yeah.
that's what we were talking till then. Like, I think real stuff come when you don't have someone telling you you have to do this, have to be done,
Yeah.
and this is the time you have to. Well, now I don't know where it's gonna go. The things I done paintings that probably will sit in my mom's house for the rest of the life, and no one is gonna even look at them, or even the skirts or whatever I saw that they're not even gonna go in production. But it doesn't matter. Those things have remember who I am and which
Yeah.
kind of style I have, and it has made me feel alive, and that is priceless. I think that is priceless. Like to have the time to remember what you like to do or what make you feel good. That is something that our times have forgotten about it. Like we spend our time running and trying to arrive to everything, you know, and we can't.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like people are so judgmental and so negative to what is the other, ready to jump on the throat. And it's like, well, you are making your own box, because
Yeah.
it's so sad. Like, we don't live more outside the box. We live in a box right now,
And
where people
people
like this
learn
is
to be afraid of each other before anything else. I mean, I was born traveling. You know, my father, generations and generations, we've always traveled. So that never crossed my mind. I've always been fascinated by learning other cultures, not to see what's different about them, but to get an insight to how they feel, how they think, what they do. Not because I might be that, but it actually makes me feel more connected. And
it makes you rich inside.
yeah,
Like,
if I can live the rest of my life doing this till the day I die, someplace in some far off place with my daughters, obviously, I would be the happiest man in the world. But do I have a car? No. Do I have a recent phone? No. Do I have any of that stuff? But I don't
don't think
really
that will be a
miss it.
problem. Yeah, so you will
Now,
go through. But it's true.
the most important point, and I want to end with this. Do I have clothing from Los Pecos Mutantes? No. Now that
yeah.
has to end.
Oh, yeah, you will.
That has to
Oh,
end.
yeah, you will.
I need money to buy some clothes.
Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up, I got some gas, some packs, I'm up in the greenhouse. Ball it up, I'm with the gang, we taking shots off the rebound.